I have been working in Gambia real estate for over a year now, living in the Gambia, West Africa for 4 years, and I still almost got scammed in a land scam. So we're going to talk about that in this video. The way that our family almost got scammed out of $5,000 for a plot of land is because we were going to purchase a plot of land that we had our eye on for a while, because our family owns land that was very close to this plot of land that we were looking to purchase. This land was actually already, there was a dispute. It was under a land dispute. So there was a huge plot of land, right? And a man from Europe, he came and he purchased this plot of land. So it was like in the middle of the land. So you have like this whole rectangle, right, of land. I know, bad visual or whatever. But then in the middle, there's like a portion of it that the seller did not have the right to sell because they didn't own that part. They owned the land on the right of it, and they owned the land on the left of it, but they didn't own the land in the middle. They knew that. They sold it anyway because the man from Europe was not aware of the buying process and the customary lands and all of that. So he bought it, and then the owner, the Gambian owner that owned the middle piece of land, had to come back and claim his land because it was sold without his permission. Unfortunately, the seller was well aware of this situation and didn't have the decency to just be upfront and honest and tell me that this land was already under a land dispute and it has 2 owners, and I would have been the 3rd owner and I would have been caught up into that dispute. So I'm asking him, okay, what's it? Firstly, had I been come there with cash in hand, ready to make a down payment or any type of payment installment or given any money for this land, I would have lost that money 100%, unless they would have given it back. But why would someone scam you and give you your money back? That wasn't going to happen. Okay, I found out that that was literally a scam. The reason what made it a scam was that the person was aware of the dispute that the land was under and wasn't upfront and honest about it. So had I made that purchase, there's a portion of that land that I never would have owned. The Gambian man that was selling the land in the situation was the son of the original owner. He lost his land to a European man who had the legal documents. So had he sold me his land, he no longer legally owned that land because someone bought the land, although they didn't have the right to do so. It was sold to them and they had their legal ownership documents for the land, and the Gambian man was fighting to get his land back, but decided to sell it to me if I was willing to buy it. Once I mentioned the physical planning office, he ended up having to admit that he didn't have the legal documents, and had I purchased that land, it would have remained legally owned by the man in Europe. It was, working in real estate now for a little bit, working in Gambia real estate for a little bit over a year, I have seen literally every scam, every land scam probably, I feel confident to say, that exists. I've seen it. And this is one of the common ones, and I almost want to say that I fell for it, but I was informed. I knew better. I know the documents that are involved, the scams that happen, the process that's supposed to take place. And you don't want to tell people like exactly how much you know. So I didn't have to say, oh, I work in Gambia real estate, so I know blah blah blah. No, you don't have to do that. But you have to just say certain things that let them know that you're not completely oblivious of the process, And so, yeah, that's what happened. And it was traumatizing. Even though I had seen other land scams, it was traumatizing that I was like that close to getting scammed. Just if I didn't know. When we come here from the U.S., we're kind of desperate, really. It's like you don't know the place, you don't have the confidence. A lot of times you don't know any locals. You have to meet them, get to know them, get to trust them. But you know, when you're desperate like that, you know, I want a good deal, I want to you know, and you just feel like you have the money and you just want to make the investment while you have the money before the money goes to something else. And like, people they feel that energy. If you feel desperate, believe me, you're putting off that energy in some type of way. If you're vulnerable and you feel vulnerable, you are putting off that energy, and people that are going to scam you, they pick up on that. If you're new to the country, you don't ever want to go through land buying alone. Okay, and I'm gonna go into like the 3 main red flags. The first one I want to mention is about customary lands, and that's when you buy land locally, you know, from a local Gambian resident here in the Gambia, and you're not actually going through a registered land business. And it's very common to buy land that way. And the red flag in that situation, a red flag would be the person is reluctant to take you to meet their family members. So it's important to be familiar with the way land purchases are actually done here in Gambia. You have to be patient and take your time with the process. Make sure that you're not allowing yourself to be pressured into giving money too fast. So when you're buying land locally, it's very normal for you to meet multiple family members. Normally, those plots, a plot of land bought locally, normally, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, is going to be owned by more than one person. So it's not going to be strange for you to ask to meet the relatives, for you to ask to meet, you know, if someone mentions, oh, I'm one of 5, I have, you know, a couple of brothers and sister, or whatever the situation is, for you to say, so I want to meet your family. I want to talk to your family about the land. You know, they're going to expect that. If you are going into buying a plot of land locally and you request to meet the family members and the person says anything along the lines of them trying to avoid you meeting their family members, that's a huge red flag. Red flag. They're hiding something, because it's normal. It's normal. As a matter of fact, normally they come with family members to discuss a plot of land, because when you're buying locally, most of the time it's owned by multiple family members. In order to make that sell, every family member that has a share in owning that land, they have to sign over an agreement with selling that plot of land. So like I said, the red flag would be excuses being made of why you can't meet the family, whether it be, oh, my family lives too far, whatever the situation is. No matter what they say, insist on meeting their parents, their siblings. If they say, I don't have any siblings, if you're in a situation where they say, oh, I don't have any siblings, it's just me, okay, let me meet your aunties, your uncle, anybody in your family, I want to meet your family. They're going to find that as it's very normal. It's really normal. If you don't request to meet the family and you're buying land locally, it almost automatically lets the person know that you're not aware of the land buying process here, and you would really put yourself in a vulnerable position to be scammed or taken advantage of. Because once a person knows that you're not familiar with the land buying process, which you can smell a mile away, then they know it would be easy for me to get away with whatever it is that they're wanting to do that's unethical with selling land, whether it be not being honest about the pricing, because you have different types of scams. You have basically a plot of land being sold and double, triple what it's worth. That's really like you getting ripped off. If they sell the land and the land is legitimate and you're able to get your legal documents, that's the biggest blessing in the situation. You still own the land, but then you can get ripped off just by pricing. So, but then you also can completely be scammed where you're being sold a plot of land that the person who is selling it, they're unauthorized to sell. They don't have full ownership. The second huge red flag would be if the person doesn't want to go to like physical planning, the registration office, the land area council office. If they don't want to go to the office, they're making excuses about why they can't go. This is when you're buying a plot of land, when you're seeking to buy a plot of land and the owner is saying that the land is registered, because that's one of the first questions that you want to ask when you're going to buy land is, are you the owner? Are you the owner? Okay. And then, is the land registered? Is the land registered with the Brikama Area Council? So once you mention the Brikama Area Council, that person knows, or at least believes, that you know what you're doing, or you somewhat know what you're doing. If you never mention the area council physical planning where they register your legal ownership documents, if you never mention it at all, that lets the person know that you may be unfamiliar with the process or not confident in your knowledge about the process. Huge opportunity to be taken advantage of and scammed. If the person says the land is registered and you're like, let's go to physical planning, you know, I'm ready for them to come out and basically show proof that you're the legal owner of this land. Okay, if they're not willing to go there with you, they're hiding something. It could be that they don't have complete and full rights, because sometimes people have partial ownership rights of land, and then they have other family members that own parts of the land as well. So if they're not being upfront and honest about who owns the land completely, then they will not want to go with you, because they understand that you're going to find out that there are multiple owners, you know, to that plot of land. So the red flag in that situation would be that the person does not want to go to any government facility to verify ownership if they're making excuses. Even if you don't fully understand the process, if you mention the things that I'm saying to mention in this video, and all of a sudden the person starts acting strange or no longer has the energy that they had previously, before you mention those things, then those are red flags, because they're getting nervous. They know that whatever it is that they're about to pull is probably not going to work, because you're more informed than what they thought you were. This red flag that I'm going to mention, it's one that us Americans fall for very easy because of how sales are done in the US. I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to tell you the red flag so that it makes sense. If you want to make a purchase on something in the US and the owner tells you that there are multiple inquiries, you're not the only one who inquired about this piece of property that you're wanting to purchase, you know, they're not able to just hold it without any money, because they've had, say, 10 different people ready to buy. And they may say to you, I understand you want to take your time and think about it, but I have to have some type of deposit. Even that deposit, you'll have so much time to where it's refundable if you change your mind, but I have to have a deposit in order to hold it because I have several people inquiring. That's a very normal thing in the US. It's like, of course, you're not going to hold this for me with no money, you know, you just hold it. You can't have that mindset over here. In Gambia, it doesn't work that way. You don't ever, under any circumstances, put money down on a plot of land and you haven't verified the ownership. You have not seen documents. You have not gone through any of the processes. It's a red flag. If you feel the red flag now is if you're being pressured. If you feel pressure to give money right away to secure the plot of land, to secure the opportunity. It doesn't matter what that amount is, even if it's just $500 or, you know, and they're saying you have to give me money for me to hold this. That's not a normal process here in Gambia. It doesn't work that way at all, because land buying is lengthy. It takes even a couple of months before you can get your full your land ownership documents. It's a process that no one is expecting to happen quickly. And even the buying process, the verification that you have to go through, as I mentioned, it being very normal to meet the family members. At least a week or two, you're going to be going back and forth with this person. I would recommend that you just don't rush. If you feel pressure, if they're saying you're gonna lose this, you're gonna lose this opportunity. I have so many people asking, then just tell them, sell it then, because I cannot put any money on it right now. I cannot give you any money until I go through these verification processes, okay? And then they'll back off about the pressure unless it's a scam. If they continue with the pressure, then I would just walk away, because something is not right. No one is expecting you to meet them for the first time or second time without, like I said, meeting other people, family members, you know, and they're expecting to get money from you. So just to summarize, the 3 red flags is, number 1, the seller is not willing to, or making excuses about taking you to meet their family members, even taking you to their family compound. You don't want to buy land from anyone, and you don't know where to find that person. You have to know where to find them. You know, so it's very normal for you to request to go to their family compound, with the home where their family, chances are they've been there most of their life in a lot of cases. Okay, so you want to make sure that the person is willing to take you to meet their family members. If they're not, huge red flag. The second red flag is if they're unwilling to meet you at certain government offices to verify, you know, so that would be the second red flag. And then the third red flag is pressure. There are other red flags. There are so many different ways to be land scammed here in Gambia, unfortunately, but those are the 3 that I'm going to cover in this video, because those are the most common. And if you experience that at all, don't brush it off. Don't brush it off. Do not just think, oh, I'm being paranoid. No, I'm telling you 100%, these are red flags. Look out for them. If you experience them, run the opposite way. You're not going to miss any opportunity, but you probably will end up losing a lot of money.
Thinking of moving to the Gambia, but you don't have enough information? I'm running a promotion on the ebook version of my book, Gambia Through Our Eyes, where you can get 50% off of the ebook for the next 5 days. The link is in the description box of this video, along with a discount code. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.